Week 3 outdid itself and more with upsets, crazy comebacks, and instant classics. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the TBD College Football Show, your go-to for everything college football. I'm your host, Mason. Along for the ride with me, my co-host, Isaac Williams, along with our producer, Joey, who is back. Isaac, you're back from Hawaii. We missed you last week. How was it, man?
Man, it was a blast. Grateful to have had some time off and was able to recharge. Listen, most expenses paid is always a good time. So Hawaii was just a bonus.
Dude, that sounds so awesome. I've always wanted to go there. My wife's been there on a chorus trip in high school. Maybe I'll make it out there one day. We'll see. So before we start tonight, I just want to say to you all that the tagline to our show, which of course is no matter what team you pull for, if you're on God's side, you're always on the winning team. It definitely rings true, especially in our day and age. We've had some things, happen in the past week that have, there's just a lot of division in the world right now. But I just want you guys to know, especially if your team lost this past Saturday, there's a man who's never lost a battle and he never will. His name is Jesus. He'll save your soul. He'll give you peace. He'll give you love. There's no one like him. And if you're tired of losing, you just need a win, that's the one to go for. If you have any more questions about that, you can always reach out to us at TBDCFB on TikTok. Leave a comment on this YouTube video. We'd love to talk to you guys about it. So just want to say that before we get into it, that God does love you. Jesus paid a price for your sins, and all you have to do to accept him is call on his name and confess him as Lord. So, before we get into the big stuff, we're going to start small really quickly with our pick records. Joey still in sole first place, even after a 2-4 week 3, which he did not do as well as he thought he would, but he's still in first place, obviously, at 15-11. Me and Isaac, we're still tied for second, but closing that gap slowly but surely at 13-13 after going 3-3 in week 3. The smaller games that we're just going to talk about kind of quickly this week, USF, they had their luck run out against Miami. They lost 49-12. I said that I wouldn't be surprised if USF covered. They didn't even cover. So USF is a really hot team right now. I think that it kind of does show how weak Florida is as a team, and we're going to get into that too. But USF has nothing to be ashamed of starting the season as well as they did. I mean, Miami is a really good freaking team. Carson Beck is slinging the ball. Their defense is playing extremely well. So I just don't think that USF needs to hang their head for any reason. You didn't play as well as you wanted to. That's fine. You're a group of 5 school, and if you keep winning your group of 5 games, go win your conference, and you've probably got a shot to get in, especially with these 2 really powerful wins to start your season. Next up, Ole Miss, they grab a win versus Arkansas, 41-35. Taylor Green and the Hogs, they're driving down at the end of the game, down 6. They get close, start after the 2-minute warning, and they throw a pick on the first play after the 2-minute timeout, and they end up losing. And it sucks because Taylor Green, he's just playing his heart out right now, man. And they look like kind of a good team. Obviously, they're not one of the best teams in the SEC, but Taylor Green is absolutely one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC. Vandy, ooh, the Dawn of Diego. They crushed South Carolina 31-7, especially with the loss of Lenora Sellers. I believe he's on concussion protocol. I almost said percussion protocol. Wow, concussion protocol. And I'm not sure, we're going to get into this a little bit later with the South Carolina-Missouri game, but will Lenora Sellers be healthy enough to be in that game? We'll find out as Vandy does crush the Gamecocks 31-7. And for this final smaller game, I'm going to hand this one off to Isaac. Of course, it's LSU defeating Florida in the real Death Valley, 20-10. With this loss to Georgia Tech that Clemson has had, LSU has officially taken the title of the real Death Valley currently. So, Isaac, Florida, they head to the real Death Valley. They end up getting a big loss. And I actually picked Florida only because I said that it was a savior job game for Billy Napier. But what did you think about the game as a fan and as an analyst for that team?
Well, I think DJ Lagway was way lagging. I just do. I think that throwing 5 picks, and I would argue that only 2 of them were really forced by the LSU defense. The other 3 were just straight up incompetence. Kind of like Garrett Nussmeier's 1 interception was just completely like, just see what happens. I caught bits and pieces of the game. I was able to catch most of the second quarter, a good chunk of the second half before we flew back from Honolulu. But LSU, I thought played a good game. I like defensively. Defense won the game. You know, whether or not we actually forced 3 of those 5 picks or whatever, whether it was just because DJ Lagway was way lagging once again, whatever it was, defense won that game. The offense was not clicking. But as it's our opening SEC win, big game, week 3, Florida game. I'm still a little bit annoyed it was that early this year, primarily because I didn't get to go. But all in all, LSU's got to get the offense put back together. They've got to. The questions on this LSU team this season were Garrett Nussmeier's a Heisman candidate who just interesting enough, so now happens to be hurt or nursing a torso injury, which Brian Kelly waits till week 3 to mention, and he won't be able to nurse till the bye week. I don't know. I'm not gonna say I don't believe it. I'm just saying that it's interesting. The offense has been anything but what we expected. Defense has been good, but the roles have been reversed. The questions now are on the offensive side of the ball, and as we get deeper into SEC play, we got to get it together. But hey, a Florida win's always a good win. 5-1 in the past 6 years, 8-2, I think now in the past 10, and it sucks to be a Florida Gator. Chomp chomp.
Yes, I, as a Georgia fan, also echo the sentiments of it does suck to be a Florida Gator. With Nuss and this injury, though, just real quick, I mean, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal until Saturday, September 27th, when the Tigers travel to Ole Miss to play the Rebels. They go to Oxford. But this Saturday, fortunately, they have the Southeastern Louisiana Lions. So I don't think it's going to be a big problem for them. So we're gonna do a quick week 3 review. We've kind of already started it. These are the 3 biggest games from last week. We covered every single one of them. They were instant classics, guys. Like, you always see like on like NCAA 14 or like the ESPN instant classics. This is real life instant classics. We're gonna start with Georgia Tech over Clemson 24-21. This is one that Joey got to go on a long rant about last week. For different reasons, he was afraid that they might lose this game. Garrett Riley in the play calling, the run game not doing great, the defense not playing as well as they should be, the expectations that were there to start the season. But just some quick facts from this game. Georgia Tech, they walk it off with a personal best 55-yard field goal as time expired by Aiden Burr. Clock is running down. Shades of TCU versus Baylor 2022 as the clock's running down. They get out there and kick a field goal to win the game and stay undefeated, which is exactly what Aiden Burr did for his team here. Haynes King, the he led the entire game with rushing yards, 25 carries for 103 yards and one rushing touchdown. And he actually also threw, which is surprising. He threw for 211 yards, which might be the most surprising stat of this game, considering how much Haynes King loves to run this ball. Klubnik, he started out really off, right? He fumbles, he gets his team in field goal position, but they missed a kick. That's on Nolan Hooser. And then he gets him down again inside the 10-yard line and ends up throwing a pick. And Georgia Tech runs it back to like the Clemson 40. He would end up getting it together. He passed for 207 yards, 1 pass, and 1 rushing touchdown. So both. Joey, I am going to hand it off to you here. And what I'd love if you talk about is those things we talked about last week. You said that if things didn't change, if they didn't look like a whole new team, that this really could be the end of the Dabo Sweeney era. So what do you feel now, more as an analyst perspective than a fan? I know it's easy to get emotional. I'm there. If we would have lost to Tennessee this week, I would have been there. But yeah, please talk a little bit from the analyst perspective. What the team looked like on Saturday, what you expected to see, what you didn't expect to see. Maybe your expectations were met, or maybe they weren't. What did you see?
Well, I feel like, instead of instant classic, it was an instant nightmare to start out the game, for the Clemson Tiger fans. The rushing game was a little bit better this game as it was in the first 2 games, which I will give Adam Randall credit for, and, Cade, of course, added to that, but, of course, with that fumble, "Buddy, get down." He got down a few plays later, the next drive, and I think he learned his lesson there. But I think really and honestly, right after the game, emotions said, "We're done." Right? But, of course, Dabo's gonna speak a few days later when emotions aren't as high, and he did bring up a good point. We've played 2 really good teams and Troy, but we've played 2 really good teams and lost the close game within a field goal in this last game, right? Like, these are 2 really close games, but the issue is why aren't we winning those really close games. If you look at it, defensive line is an NFL talent defensive line. Why are they not getting to the quarterback? Bigger issue. Why are we incapable of tackling? I can't tell you how many times they got in the backfield and could not tackle Haynes King. And then you have the offense, right? Cade Klubnik going into this season with the expectations of, a Heisman contender, top two, possibly even uh, a chance to win the Heisman. And I honestly am, I he's not as bad as DJ, but he's trending that way, man. Now, the second
And
half,
of
he
course,
looked a
you
lot
mean
better.
DJ Uiagalelei, not DJ Lagway.
Wow.
But at this point, maybe it doesn't matter.
There's not much difference. But I will say, like, if he can stay the way he was in the second half, I think we're okay. Uh, I mean, we were targeting Bryant Wesco, and our offense was looking a lot better. It was starting to open up some routes and the run game, but it's just really frustrating that the offense just cannot get anything done since Garrett Riley came in. And the defense, I understand new defensive coordinator, but we don't know how to tackle, like, the amount of missed tackles.
So the last thing I'll ask you too is one of the things you said last week is that if you lost this game to Georgia Tech, you could see Clemson going something like 8 losses. Do you still feel that way, or did you like what you saw out of them this Saturday with just a few mistakes, or do you still feel pretty detrimental?
I think it's really hard to say. The second half against Georgia Tech was a really promising look, but if we come out in the first half like we have the past 2 games against Troy and against Georgia Tech, there's no way we're gonna beat a Florida State. There's no way we're gonna beat an SMU, right? Because they're gonna get ahead quick, right? Like, I trust our defense to at least stop them a few drives, but they're gonna get ahead pretty quick. So, I still would not be surprised if we're fighting for just bowl eligibility.
That's fair enough. Something that I did want to mention real quick is, when I was giving grades last week for each individual, offense, defense, for each team, I gave Georgia Tech the offensive and the special teams advantage. And I think I was right. Clemson still played well offensively. The only difference was that Georgia Tech didn't turn the ball over, and they got a way faster start on offense. And to be fair, they were at home, but they got a way faster start on offense than Clemson did. And then special teams, Nolan Hooser, he goes and misses a field goal. Aiden Burr, he knocks one or two down and also knocks one down. No, he knocked one down from 55 with the clock expiring when there's pressure to win a game against a ranked opponent. So that's what I would say was I feel like I was correct. But I also do want to give I did say that Clemson has the better defense, and I still think I was right there. But I also said that, or I also do want to say that Georgia Tech defensively played pretty well. So I want to just give them credit for that too. Next, instant classic in South Bend, Texas A&M over Notre Dame, 41-40. Close game. If you saw this one, you obviously know how it ended. Very back and forth offensive battle. You're going to notice this in a lot of the games this week, but nobody wanted to play defense. Very high powered offenses. Notre Dame quarterback CJ Kari passed for 293 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love, 94 yards and 1 touchdown. And this guy made a huge difference in this game to keep Notre Dame in it. A couple 4th-and-1 Wildcat runs, and converts almost, I think, all of them except for one. And they ran that play like 3 times. Scored a touchdown late in the game to keep them in it. Quarterback at A&M, Marcel Reed. Guys, this stat should surprise you. 360 pass yards. 360 pass yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 1 interception for a guy who they only ever talk about his legs, but he had to throw the ball to keep them in it because their defense was destroying his run. But Le'Veon Moss, 81 rush yards, 20 carries, and 3 touchdowns. And then they had this awesome guy. We thought that Concepcion, KC Concepcion, the NC State transfer, was going to be like the number 1 wide receiver. We'll check this guy out. Mario Craver. Don't forget that name. Mario Craver breakout game, 207 receiving yards and 1 touchdown. 207 receiving yards by himself. That's a lot. Dude had some big plays, got open, got his team down the field, and got him in the end zone. Notre Dame, this is how this game goes. at the end. Notre Dame, they score the go-ahead touchdown with 3 minutes left in regulation. Holder, Tyler Buckner, who you might remember, that name should sound familiar. Tyler Buckner was the starting quarterback at Notre Dame when they lost to Marshall in 2022. Then he transfers to Alabama and he starts a game there, gets benched. They go back to Jalen Milroe. He transfers back to Notre Dame, takes a lacrosse detour, wins a national championship in lacrosse. Now he's one of the backup quarterbacks and the holder. He botches the hold, tries to throw it, no good. They're up 40-34. A&M, they drive right down the field and they score a touchdown on 4th and goal with 14 seconds left in regulation. Um, and they win the game. Notre Dame can't do anything. And I know so much of the Notre Dame fans will, and a lot of the college football world casuals, they're going to want to blame Tyler Buckner. And of course, it's easy to do that. But why don't you blame the Notre Dame defense? The Notre Dame defense gave up 488 yards at home. You've got they've taken a huge step back for what was one of the greatest pass rushes in college football last year. Now they're 0-2 on the season. And you've got to blame the Notre Dame defense here. You can't blame Tyler Buckner. I mean, I guess you can because, you do your job. The game probably gets tied. I mean, what if he misses the extra point, though? What if the kicker misses the extra point? And then whose fault is it? You always want to put yourself in a position to win games, and that's just what they didn't do. They got ahead late, and then they let Texas A&M go right down the field on it. So props to A&M. Sometimes, luck has to turn in your favor. You need something to go your way. They haven't won a road game against a ranked opponent since 2015, 10 tries, 0 for 10, and now they're 1 for 11. Or now they're 1 for 10. So that's all you need. Now, final game. We're going to go through this quickly, I promise, even though it's my favorite team. I am a Georgia fan. And of course, it's Georgia defeating Tennessee in Neyland Stadium 44-41 overtime. Guys, this is a game of the year candidate. This game was so good. Back and forth battle. Again, no defense for either team. Game start, it's like, uh-oh for UGA. Tennessee goes right down the field on us, scores a touchdown. We said last week, Gunners were going to want to come out and run the ball. Well, his first play is a deep pass to Colby Young for like 40 yards. We get downfield, make a couple other good passes to Zachariah Brandt. He runs it in for a touchdown. Tied. Aguilar, he lights up the first quarter. He throws for 2 touchdowns and rushes for 1. They had 233 yards of offense in the first quarter. 233 yards of offense in the first quarter. It was not looking good for us. We're down 21-7. We scored a touchdown and a field goal. We go to 21-7.5 like we always do. We dig ourselves out of a hole. Georgia, we start the second half with an 8-minute, 75-yard touchdown drive. It obviously goes back and forth for a long time. The Dogs are down 8 with 2 minutes to go. We go down the field on 4th and 6 from the 28. Stockton drops an absolute dime to London Humphreys in the end zone. We go for the 2-point to Zachariah Branch. We tie it. They go down the field. If you watched it, I had an out-of-body experience. They missed the field goal to walk it off. We go to overtime. Our defense steps up. We go 22 yards in one play. We score on the next play, and we win the game somehow 44-41. All I've got to say is resilience, man. So last week I said that I was taking Tennessee because they just looked good. And they did look good. They played so well. And I have to give Tennessee so much credit for how good of a team they are. Their offense looked great. They were down 2 of their starting cornerbacks, and we exploited that. Obviously, number 4 was getting burnt all afternoon by us. But this team, man, it's just resilient. It's just who they are. Like, you look at so many games where we had to crawl back. Look at Alabama last year. Yes, we lost the game, but we were down 28 and came all the way back to take a lead late in the fourth. Ohio State in 2022 when they missed the field goal, but we were down 14 twice, had to crawl back. This team is just resilient. It's just what they do. I should have never doubted Kirby Smart. He has losses. He's not perfect. No coach is. But in order for that to happen, you have to have a good coaching staff. And I said that I just didn't know how far coaching was going to take us anymore. Like, I didn't know how far the coaching advantage was gonna go. And turns out it still goes a really freaking long way. Just wanted to point out Gunnar Stockton, 304 pass yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and 1 rushing touchdown. He silenced everybody that had doubters about him. They said he only likes to run the ball. He likes to throw screen passes. Nope. Dude can throw downfield, and we tried to tell y'all that. Just look at the Notre Dame game. Yeah, we lost, but he can throw it. Look at Texas. He can throw it, and he can run. He's really good at what he does. But I have to give, again, so much credit to Joey Aguilar, who has been an absolute surprise. I did not think that Joey Aguilar would transfer into Tennessee and play as well as he has. He has just gelled with their offense, gelled with their staff. And I heard this, I don't wanna quote, but I heard this on the Josh Pate show, and he said he had a coaching friend who texted him and said that Tennessee looks like they trust Aguilar so much more than they ever trusted Nico Imulaba, and it shows. They're letting him do what he does best, which is throw the ball downfield and make good decisions. He was 14 for 14 and 3 touchdowns in the first quarter. 14 for 14 and 3 touchdowns in the first quarter. Dude is an absolute stud, and Tennessee is a good team. They're not going anywhere. I guarantee that Tennessee could still make the SEC championship. They will most likely be in the playoffs. They're too freaking good once their defense gets healthy. I mean, that was a good defense we just played. They are an absolute great team. Props to them. I know the loss stings, but their season's not over by any stretch.
Our next segment is Heat Check. So, what's going to happen is I'm going to name different coaches or staff, and Isaac and Mason must answer if they feel that the coach or staff is chilling, are they sweating, or are they burning? So, this is basically who is and isn't on the hot seat. Isaac, where is Mike Gundy, Oklahoma State head coach?
I don't know, man. I think Mike Gundy is sweating. I think that Oklahoma State is not exactly lived up to the standard. But I'm also gonna say this, all due respect, it's Oklahoma State. Like, I mean, the only guy I can really name in recent memory from Oklahoma State is Chuba Hubbard, and he plays for the Panthers. So, I don't know, man. I think he's sweating, but, I mean, it's Oklahoma State. Meh.
I mean, Mike Gundy definitely has a legacy at Oklahoma State. Now it's just a matter of will he be fired or is it down to when he feels he's ready to go?
To be fair. Oklahoma State was, and to be fair, they got routed by Texas, but they were just in the Big 12 championship against Texas in 2023. That was only 2 seasons ago. So, I mean, things have definitely taken a turn for the worse the last 2 years, but at the same time, you know,
Mason, where do you think Billy Napier is on our scale?
burning hot. Burning hot. You didn't even have to finish that sentence. Absolutely burning hot. You've been in Florida for 3 years. You've only won one bowl game when you've had 2 appearances. You've got all that talent. You're an SEC powerhouse school that has a history of winning championships, and you are not doing anything. And you're losing to teams like South Florida when you're supposed to beat them by 30, just like Miami just did. Miami is honestly the new powerhouse in Florida. Like there's no question. Florida under Billy Napier does not look good, and I'm sure the Florida fans understand. And even last year, I tried to give the guy the benefit of the doubt. I was like, Florida fans, calm down. It's only his third year. I know it looks bad right now, but you got DJ Lagway. You'll look better next year. He looks awful. That's just bad coaching. He's a good recruit. Now, I understand that sometimes five-star recruits don't pan out the way you want them to, but he's a good recruit. I just think it's bad coaching. I think it's bad development. I don't think he was ready. Sorry, maybe it's just not a good fit for Billy Napier at Florida, but dang.
I'm just gonna say this, and I know it's Mason's piece, but let's just say this: his buyout isn't even quite $20 million. Let me just say this: I think, in my opinion, if his buyout was Brian Kelly's buyout, Brian Kelly would have already been gone from LSU. That's my opinion as an LSU fan. I don't want to bring BK into the mix, but it's a $19.38 million buyout approximately as of this month, and yeah, I think he might as well be holding the flame. He might as well be Johnny Flame at this point.
It's funny that you mentioned that, Isaac. I actually want your opinion now being 3-0 at LSU, finally winning an opening game this season. Where is Brian Kelly?
So we're 3-0. We win an opening game. We have a defense under Blake Baker at DC who now, I mean, this defense with Joe Burrow's offense, this is like a 30-0 LSU team. Obviously, being facetious, but I still don't love Brian Kelly. I have a hard time. I had a hard time. I told somebody this over the weekend. His first post game press conference, Malik Neighbors muffs a punt. He throws Malik and the team under the bus. Let me just say this: Malik turned out to be one of the best receivers LSU's ever had. 2023, we lose to Florida State again. It's the team's fault. We're sitting here again talking about the same things. 24, we lose by a touchdown due to some late game bullcrap, pitiful play against USC in Vegas. This year, we go to Clemson, we get it done. Clemson just lost to Georgia Tech. No disrespect. That win looks less impressive by the week as Clemson struggles against what I would consider not top tier talent. If
Fans,
the
this right here, this is not a casual speaking. You understand that. This is not a casual speaking. I want you to know that. Isaac is not a casual.
I mean, I think that, and I don't mean that. I listen. As a man, I respect Dabo. I respect the way he runs the program at Clemson. But the LSU win that I was at 2 weeks ago looks less impressive by the week because no disrespect, but Clemson should have beaten Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech almost beat themselves the entire second half, and they didn't get it done. With that said, the question's about Brian Kelly. I think he's still sweating. He's 3-0. Let me just say this. You don't if we don't put up big numbers, we only beat Louisiana Tech by I think 17. It was 23-6 last week. If we don't put up big numbers and the offense look decent against Southeastern Louisiana, we're going to go to Oxford. The test is going to be in Oxford. We go play at Ole Miss in the Magnolia Bowl, which, by the way, we won on a walk-off last year. Field rush. Go Tigers. Hashtag. This season, that's going to be the test. The defense looks good. The offense can't get it together. Brian Kelly still has to answer for it. Why? Because Joe Sloan is the OC that he hired. Ed Orgeron got fired because honestly, he caught lightning in a bottle with good coordinators with Joe Brady, Steve Ensminger, Dave Aranda. Like he caught lightning in a bottle. But the buck stops with the head coach. The test will be in Oxford. We'll see what happens with Brian Kelly. Listen, I have faith in the guy. I've liked him since I've liked him enough since we beat Bama in 22. But he has to capitalize. We're 3-0. 3-0 could fall apart very quickly in the SEC because we play Ole Miss, we have a bye, and then we play South Carolina at Vanderbilt, and we host A&M. After we barely beat Louisiana Tech, we play Southeastern Louisiana, we play Ole Miss, we have a bye, and then we play South Carolina and Baton Rouge, go to Vandy, and then host A&M, which I will be at. 3-0 could become 3-3 or something along those lines very, very quickly. So
All I was going to say was that Kirby, after we barely beat Tennessee, he said the SEC is World War III this year. Anybody could beat anybody on any given Saturday. Those three words, any given Saturday, has never been more true than this year.
All right, Mason. Lastly, this one's for you. The Clemson staff. And I'm going to let you specifically pick out who should go first. But where are they?
I don't think Dabo Swinney getting fired would fix anything at Clemson. I think that, if anything, he's been the most consistent part of that program, building it from what it was. The only thing I hate about Dabo Swinney is he just won't get with the times. He could have got, and nobody's saying you have to go get 30 guys out of the portal, but you don't have a running back. You had to take a wide receiver and turn him into a running back. And it's the Adam Randall experience, while it is getting better kind of week to week, it has not gone so well so far. You could have gone into the portal, though, and got like one good guy. And Clemson's a great program. It's in an awesome place. It's in a beautiful place. Clemson, while it has a small town vibe, is a beautiful place. You could get any number of guys in the portal to come to Clemson if they would just utilize it for the things that they need, like kickers. And not, I'm not, this is really, kickers is pre Nolan Hooser, but still, kickers or running back, which you don't have. Maybe a wide receiver just to build your depth, I don't think that Dabo Swinney's a problem. I just think he needs to get with the times. And I'm not saying he has to go, he's here and he needs to go all the way over here to start doing well, but just take a small step. Get a few guys out of the portal that you need to fill position spots, right? Garrett Riley, I think, should be the first one to go. I think your defensive coordinator is doing fine. The defense is playing well. You got all these guys, a lot of talent. Slow start to the season, but when your offense can't score, it's hard for your defense to play well. So there's that. Anyway, I think Garrett Riley's got to go. I'm not a huge fan of his play calling. It's so funny to think that this guy was the offensive coordinator for TCU in 2022. This awesome offense. Maybe he got overlooked, or maybe his play calling got overlooked because he had Max Duggan, and Max Duggan was just a dog, put his team on his back plenty of times. But I think maybe he did. Maybe they just overlooked how bad his play calling was, and then he comes to Clemson. Because here's the thing, Joey, and you probably noticed this, it's been an issue since he came to Clemson. His
Yep.
first game, y'all lost to Duke. It's been an issue for a long time. So that's my thing. I think Garrett Riley. I think he is definitely burning. Actually, I wouldn't say burning, just because I would say he's burning or should be burning. But the way that Clemson does things with their staff, I'd say he's probably more sweating than burning. So that's just my 2 cents on it.
As long as he's the best friend of Dabo, he's safe.
Now it's time for our favorite segment, the TBD game of the week. Our game of the week is going to take us to Salt Lake City for Fox's big noon kickoff for 17th ranked Texas Tech visiting the 16th ranked Utah Utes. The Utes are favored by 3.5.
This is going to be a big game because you've got these two teams who have started off incredible. Everybody thought the Utah UCLA game was going to be like an actual good game. Got, Emil Aba, who transfers in, and Utah just beat the absolute piss out of UCLA. Texas Tech, they've been winning big games, scoring a ton of points. They've got some really good guys. A lot of people thought, like, this is the year for Texas Tech. The way that things have panned out, Kansas State really was the Big 12 preseason favorite. They're obviously way out of that. They've already got 3 losses on the season. Iowa State, they're still looking really good, but they obviously possibly have some issues. But then, you've got Texas Tech and Utah, who are my favorites actually right now to end up in the Big 12 championship. But as things always go, I saw this quote the other day. Football and college football specifically, you think you know something, you really don't, even if you think you do, or even if you've been doing this a long time. We see guys who have been doing this for years get things wrong all the time. These two are my picks for the Big 12 championship. However, these teams are just really good, and it's early in the season, and we'll see what happens. But this is really when we start to get in these conference matchups, these teams that look really good and they end up being really bad. I think this is going to be a very big defensive matchup. Utah, Salt Lake City is not an easy place to play. They've got a really good home atmosphere. Texas Tech definitely has their work cut out for them going on the road. They've got to get in there and play a really smart football game, light up the offense, light up with their defense, light up the defense with their offense. Something that Utah has to their advantage is that Kyle Whittingham is their head coach, and he's been there for years. He's won countless Pac 12 championships at Utah. Haven't won the Big 12 yet. They had a little bit of an issue last year. I think the quarterback situation with Cam Rising and Bryson Barnes didn't quite work out the way that they wanted to. And so they were kind of, no quarterback really all season. Well, now they've got their guys, and now they're a really good team and they're playing really well. So we're going to see what ends up happening here. Joey, you're picking first the spread of 3.5 in Utah's favor. It's at Utah. Who you got?
Mason, you actually hit it right on the head. This offense is phenomenally much better than last season, and, Utah's defense is still a Utah defense. I see Utah coming out with the win here, especially it being a home game. Uh, I really like Utah this year. I'm really confident in Utah this year.
So the 3 games Texas Tech has won, they beat Arkansas Pine Bluff 67-7. They dropped another 62 on Kent State, and then they just beat Oregon State 45-14. And the way the Pac-12 is, going right now, it might as well be a group of 5 school. I almost said group of 4, but it is actually still a group of 5. Utah, they had that win against rival UCLA. They have a 63-9 win against Cal Poly, and they just beat Wyoming 31-6. Give me Utah in this matchup as well. I think that they're just playing well. I have really high hopes for Texas Tech. I just don't think they've been tested yet. Now, to be fair, I guess you could say the same thing about Utah. So this is really a big time test for both teams. But like I said, Salt Lake City, not an easy place to play. Utah looking good, experienced head coach and Kyle Whittingham. So give me the Utes in this matchup.
I'm going to make it easy. TV triple pick. Give me the Utes on Saturday morning. But let me just say this, okay? I'm intrigued by this, okay? This is a big new kickoff. Utah is in the mountain time zone. These boys are kicking off at 10 a.m. I don't envy that because when I was in Hawaii, I woke up at 6 a.m. freaking out because college football was on the TV. But then I remembered it was 12
Now, to
p.m.
be fair,
on the East Coast.
yeah, to be fair, I would love to be able to wake up right at 6 and watch college football. But
It's a lot weirder than it sounds, bro, because then Sunday Night Football is at 2:15. It's so weird. So weird. But give me the Utes, TV triple pick. I like Utah on Saturday morning in Salt Lake as well.
this one's going to be a fun. We got a SEC, big time SEC matchup. Number 22, Auburn. They're heading to Norman, Oklahoma, of course, to take on the number 11 ranked Oklahoma Sooners. 3:30 p.m. on ABC. Spread is OU by 6.5. This is Jackson Arnold's return to OU. Obviously, things didn't work out there for him. Maybe it was a fit issue. Yeah, he just didn't play well. The only game I ever remember him playing well in at Oklahoma was against Alabama when they won that game last year. We've talked about that countless times. This is going to be a big game for him. Homecoming. He wants to get a win over his, old team. And the other star to watch out for, John freaking Mateer is an absolute dog. He was doubted when they brought him in. A lot of people, they didn't have him very high in the SEC preseason, SEC quarterback rankings because, oh, he hasn't really, he's played, lesser competition at Washington State, of course. But no, this dude is an absolute dog. He has ran all over teams. He throws all over teams. He played extremely well against Michigan. He can escape the pocket extremely well. He loves to run. He loves to use his legs. And he's just a physical player. Like, I just haven't seen, like, a physical quarterback like John Mateer in a long time. Like, he's just willing to put his body on the line in big games and make a play. Heading back to Jackson Arnold. So when you think about Jackson Arnold and what he's good at, what is he good at? He loves to run the ball. And this isn't like a Gunnar Stockton situation where we were like, he would rather run the ball than throw because he's inexperienced. And if his wide receiver one is not open, he's just going to take off. No, this is a guy whose play style is to run. He is a running quarterback. This is what he does. Something that they're not going to be able to do when you look at where they throw the ball. Auburn likes to throw screens a lot. It's kind of a Mike Bobo Georgia offense, but they like to throw a lot of screens out to the right and left, a lot of check downs. You're not going to be able to do that against this Oklahoma defense. Arnold is going to have to throw the ball downfield. Now, he's shown that he can do it. He can throw the ball, but he's going to have to throw the ball downfield multiple times in order to get his team in the win column on this game. Oklahoma, that's the biggest thing they have going for them is John Mateer and their defense. Their defense is playing lights out this year. John Mateer is playing extremely well. Had a couple issues with some turnovers against Michigan. If they can clean those things up, they'll be looking good. If Auburn can get Jackson Arnold to throw the ball downfield, and they've got good receivers. He's got wide receivers who will go to battle for him. Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton Jr. These are guys that are going to go make a play. Arnold has got to trust his guys that they're going to get down there and make a play. Oklahoma, just trust their defense. Just do what they're good at, man. Like, I'm not a big Oklahoma fan, but I am a big fan more and more every week of John Mateer and the way that he plays in his play style. And this is not my pick, but even if Oklahoma were to come out in a loss, I would still say that John Mateer is a dog. Auburn's just a good team. And I will say this, Auburn is a way better team than I thought. So keys to the game are those, and another one too, is that against the biggest team that we've seen Auburn play so far is Baylor. They could not stop the pass. That's something their defense is going to have to clamp down on is the Oklahoma receivers. They got guys like Deion Burks. They're going to get open. They're going to play physically. You've got to make sure that you clamp those guys down and get turnovers. Win the turnover battle, right? So if I had to grade, I'd say that I would give the offensive edge to Oklahoma. I give the defensive edge to Oklahoma, and I would give the special teams edge actually to Auburn. They run a lot of punts back. They do things really well on special teams. But I'm going to go with Oklahoma to win this game in Norman. I think Auburn is a much better team than anticipated this year. I said I did not trust Hugh Freeze that much. However, they are a better team than expected. So even still, Oklahoma, they're also a better team than I expected. I know that's surprising to some people. I just didn't expect them to be that good. But John Mateer is an absolute dog. I would say that I was wrong. Give me the freaking Sooners this Saturday.
Yeah, these are 2 teams who have been really exciting and fun to watch, but really all my confidence is in Oklahoma for this game, and really for the season. I really like Oklahoma. I like how the offense is looking, and, with that, Brent Venables is able to, put his focus on the defense and put his, you know, brain into the defense, which was struggling because everybody had to focus on the offense last season. So now that, they have the defense and a competent offense, um, I really like Oklahoma. And mind you, their offense has been really good without Jaden Ott. Like Jaden Ott has been non-existent. So that's just impressive to me. Give me Oklahoma.
Yeah, this one's in Norman. Oklahoma just grinded out a huge win against Bryce Underwood, Trader, and the Michigan Wolverines a few weeks ago. And Auburn, had a big win against Baylor earlier in the season. I'm also going to take the Sooners. Give me a TBD triple pick. I think I like Oklahoma to cover. I think it could come down to a fairly defensive matchup, but the way Oklahoma's defense is played, John Mateer and the offense, I like Oklahoma. I think I like them to cover. I think the Sooners get it done Saturday afternoon in Norman. It's in my opinion kind of a no brainer. All right, folks, going to take us to a fantastic SEC rivalry game on Saturday night at 7 p.m. on ABC. It is South Carolina versus 23 ranked Missouri in Como. Missouri is favored by 11.5. This one I don't envy because, Missouri's favored by 12. Missouri, they did get it done. We doubted them a lot a few weeks ago against Kansas, but they did get the job done. Lenora Sellers currently is to be determined, could be a game time decision. No answer either way from Coach Beamer right now. Um, Man, this one's tough. Unfortunately, I do have to go first on this one. I am going to take Missouri, but I'm going to take South Carolina to cover. I think they keep it close. And I think, honestly, I could get this pick very wrong if Lenora Sellers plays. If he doesn't play, they looked flat against Vanderbilt. They got absolutely stomped at home at Williams-Brice on Saturday. If Sellers doesn't play, I think Missouri manhandles this game. But if Sellers plays, I could very well get this pick wrong. I am going to take the Missouri Tigers in this one. I don't love the pick, but I'm going to go with the home crowd and an uncertain Sellers as of this moment.
So the information that we have right now is that on Sunday night, he said that he was hopeful that Lenoris would get to play, but we haven't really heard anything else other than that yet. If Lenoris Sellers plays in this game, it's going to be probably a lot closer than the spread is saying. And I'm guessing the spread is so high because they're assuming Lenoris Sellers will not play or he would be limited. I'm going to go ahead and take South Carolina in this one. I think that this is going to be a bounce back game for them. I think that they have way too much talent. Their defense did not play well against Vandy, and I think that they're going to fix that against Missouri. Como is becoming more and more of a tough place to play, and Missouri fans, I'm not doubting you. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying with the odds and the way that South Carolina is, usually when they do something, that does not go their way, they immediately bounce back. We saw that against Tennessee in 2022. I just think that South Carolina is still a really good and talented team, but I would not be surprised at all. I will say this: if Luke Doty is the starting quarterback Saturday, give me Missouri by 20. Like I do not think this game will be close at Como. They're playing extremely well. I think Kansas was a good team, but really, I think that South Carolina is Missouri's first real test. But give me South Carolina on the road in Columbia on Saturday night.
This one's tough. I feel like I kinda feel opposite of you, Mason, where I feel like Kansas was a good match, for Missouri. It was a good, battle test for Missouri, and they won that game, right? Granted, they didn't start out hot, but they ended the game with a win. Meanwhile, South Carolina's first battle test, really was Vanderbilt now that you're seeing, um, Old Dominion beat Virginia Tech. So and then South Carolina got destroyed in that game. Would they have gotten destroyed if Lenore Sellers had gone down and he stayed in the game? That's uncertain, right? Um, with the uncertainties, I'm gonna go thinking that Lenora Sellers probably won't play. It looked like something along the lines of a concussion, so I'm gonna go based off that. I'm gonna say Missouri's gonna win this. I don't think Doty can drop some dots like Lenora Sellers can. Um, I think Missouri's offense has been tested, and they've shown that they can pull it out.
All right, it's time for a much anticipated Big Ten matchup. Number 9, Illinois versus number 19, Indiana, 7:30 p.m. on NBC. Spread in favor of IU, 5.5. This really is the battle that decides who the fakers are. And I mean that because we have heard Signetti, the head coach of Indiana, talk all off season about how great the Big Ten was because they played 9-game conference schedule and how the SEC is the losers because they only play 8. And it's just a mess, dude. And when you look at their out of conference schedule, you're talking Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, and Indiana State. They won against Indiana State 73 to nothing. Don't come for SEC teams when you know it's the toughest league in the country, and especially when your out of conference schedule is against two group of 5 and an FCS school. Do not stop it. Do not. Okay? Alabama's out of conference schedule this year. They got to play. They got look. They got FCS school in there, obviously, but they also have Florida State, who they started the year against and lost to, and Wisconsin, who they just beat. Now Wisconsin's not great, but that's another Big Ten team of the conference that you claim is the best team in conferences in college football. Okay, so I don't want to hear it anymore, cursing Nettie. Don't come for us. Anyway, this game, it's going to decide who the fakers are. I don't think this is going to be a close game for either team. I think whichever team wins this game is going to win big. Spread is 5.5. I'm thinking somewhere in the neighborhood of 17. Yeah, in Illinois, they've had a couple good wins. They obviously have a big win against Duke. But Indiana, they have not faced anybody worth anything. They beat Old Dominion 27-14, Kennesaw State 56-9, and Indiana State 73 to nothing. This is a program that has not played anybody, and I'm going to make this quick, but for that reason, I'm going with Illinois. I think that Illinois is looking really good right now. Don't get me wrong, Mendoza at Indiana is a very good quarterback, but they're just I don't think they've been battle tested. They are playing at home, which is fair, but Illinois has already gone on the road to another Power 4 team, Power 4 conference of the ACC, which is the lowest ranked Power 4 conference in my opinion. But still, they went there and they played well and they won big, and I think they're gonna do the exact same thing to Indiana. I do not think Indiana is that good of a team. Give me Illinois.
Yeah, I don't think Indiana's been battle tested. I think we've seen Illinois up against a Duke team who, sure, may not be greatly talented, but, they did look impressive, and from that, just going based off that, I gotta pick Illinois. I know it's in Indiana, but I I gotta go Illinois.
I will say, I personally think, given that I watched this game, like I said, at freaking 7 a.m. in Hawaii, I think that Illinois capitalized on a lot of mistakes by Duke. Darian Mensah had, I think, 2 fumbles and it might have been 3 or 2 picks or 2 fumbles and interception. I can't remember, but they capitalized on a lot of Duke mistakes. I think that Duke had a chance to make that game closer than it was, but they did not. With that said, Indiana has not been tested. When they were tested last season against, I think it was Ohio State, it was like 35-14. Like the one game they played against a quality team, it might not have been Ohio State, but a it was a team in the Big Ten that's actually worth talking about, which probably unfortunately was the Ohio State Blank Eyes. And so, with that being said, I'm going to go with the Illinois as well. I think Illinois gets this one done in the episode with a TBD triple pick. I think that they're going to get done. I like them to cover. I mean, probably a touchdown, maybe 10 points. I think that they're gonna be a tougher match for Indiana to slow them down because Indiana hasn't played anybody. I mean, again, like I said, the only thing they've played in the past 2 years that was worthwhile, they got relatively boat raced by. So yeah, give me the Illinois, and in Bloomington on Saturday night.
That's a wrap on today's episode. Week 4 is stacked from high stakes SEC clashes to ranked matchups across the country.
Yeah, Mason, we made our picks, but anything can happen. It's college football. Upsets are coming.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Catch all the games this weekend and join us next week for more previews, reactions, and, of course, as always, our hot takes.
And always remember,
No matter what team you pull for, if you're on God's side, you're always on the winning team. We said it earlier, but there is a Father in heaven who loves you. There is a man named Jesus who died for your sins and paid the penalty and paid your debt because he loves you. And the only thing that you have to do to accept that is accept him as your savior, confess that Jesus is Lord, and believe in your heart that Jesus is King and that God raised him from the dead on the third day. And you should be saved. If you have any more questions about that, you can always hit us up in our DMs on TikTok. Hit us up in the comment section on this YouTube video. Wherever you're seeing this, we'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to have these conversations with you. For more content, we post some really fun videos and stuff. Go check out our TikTok at TBDCFB and our Instagram under the same handle. Go ahead and do us a favor. If you like the video, share this video, subscribe, and put a comment in the comments and just tell us, what we got wrong. If you think we're crazy, if you think we should go back to our day jobs and quit doing this thing. I mean, shoot, tell us whatever you want to let us know. But like always, we thank you so much for listening. We're praying for you guys, and we'll see you next week.
bye bye.
Later.